once you know what your needs, wants, and desires are, you have a clear line in the sand because your needs are non negotiable. Your wants improve your life, but your desires are completely negotiable.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to this week's episode of the Next Step podcast. I am so excited to bring you this week's exceptional guest. Her name is Aarti Achar. She is the happiness ninja, and she is a powerhouse in personal development and mindfulness. Aarti specializes in guiding ambitious, creative professionals towards simple, sustainable strategies for, you got it, happiness. Her mission? Not only to help you get off the hamster wheel, but to embrace the power of the word no, which seems like backwards. Happiness Ninja says no a lot, but I'm going to let her take it from there. So, Aarti, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to be here. It took a while for us to coordinate and get to this recording, but I'm glad that I am here.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to have you. So y'all got to know, we met on a networking event months ago. And then beyond that, I had the opportunity to be part of a mastermindish group that I literally joined because I knew Aarti was joining it. And I was like, if she's there, I'm there. Like, I want to be in her world. So I'm so glad that you're in my world today. I'm so excited.
I am just as happy to have you as part of my world. It's so nice when we meet other people who we vibe with and, the people that we like to call our tribe who meet us at the same mental and energetic levels and that actually brings me back to a little bit about myself or why I got into this particular line of work.
Yes.
Because I am an enthusiastic people pleaser. That's literally my introduction, is that I am a people pleaser. I am a yes person. I love saying yes.
But the funny part is I'm literally the opposite. I'm the challenger, and all I ever do is say no. And so I love that you unleash the power of no for people, and I have to be like, oh, maybe I should say yes a little more often. So let's just start there. Talk to me about this dichotomy of being the happiness ninja, who's the enthusiastic people pleaser who unleashes the power of no for others.
Let me give it to you in a very simple analogy. There is no light without dark. Right? And as an enthusiastic people pleaser, one of my biggest challenges in my younger years was that I wanted to say yes to everything and everybody, and that was just not physically possible, not in this lifetime anyway. And I used to get stuck because a lot of the time I found myself saying yes to all the things that I wanted to say no to, and I had no time. Eventually, it ended up being that I had no time to say yes to anything that made me happy. I was just, running on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So to speak. And I was burnt out because it's those little yes things that make us happy, that give us the energy to keep running on the wheel of life, right? And when all of those got taken away or fell off my wheel of life, I was like, what am I doing? So that is where I had to, reel back and take a hard look at my life and be like, all right, I love being. See, there is like you said, there's a big dichotomy between being a people pleaser and teaching other people how to say no, or saying no because the internal instinct is to say yes to everything.
Right.
Anybody comes and asks for help, I'm like, yes, I will help you. I will lay myself down over here for you to walk all over. But in order to gain freedom in my own life, to get my own power back, to be able to accomplish the things that I wanted to do with my life, or even have time to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, I needed to have the freedom to say no, the
Yeah.
freedom to have my time back. And that is where I realized that, all right, if I want to continue, I really love being a people pleaser. I love helping other people. That's a part of my personality that I absolutely cherish. And I went through these few years in between where I hated that aspect of my personality because I felt really taken advantage of in a way. Everybody, I had been pegged as the yes person. So anybody needed anything, they would come to me. And
Start stacking chairs, Aarti. Start stacking chairs.
yeah, exactly. I'm doing everybody's everything and I'm burnt out. And I was bitter. I was so bitter about it. And I didn't want to be bitter. I just didn't want, I wanted to be able to utilize this amazingness that I have along with, I was proud of being somebody that everybody could come to for help. So how could I make balance that with living my own life also? And that is where I started the No program for myself. And then, other people, when they got to know about it, because no is a very, there's a lot of people in the world who struggle with the word no.
There is.
So, yeah, so when they started hearing about it, I started doing it as a community challenge. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it started.
So was there, okay, so I don't know if there was it sounds to me like it was something that gradually happened, but was there a straw that broke the camel's back that you're like, that's it? I am not saying yes anymore. Like, was there a moment or an instance or an experience that really drove it home for you that things had to change?
Yes. Yes and no. It was so, like most things in life, it was a culmination of a whole lot of little things that happened that created that, moment of, oh my God, what am I doing with my, this is what I need to be doing instead. So for me, it was as simple. A few years ago in my mid 30s, I wanted to take stock of my life simply because everything else from the outside seemed quite, peachy. I had a family, I had a good, a job, I had all the things that I would normally put on my checklist of, social success.
Yeah.
However, internally, I was not happy. It was like I was pretending. I was living my social media life and not
Yeah.
internally. I wasn't. Yeah, it was like, I was literally living my social media life and not feeling it inside.
Mhm.
And so something had to change at that time. And I was like, all right, let me see what it is that I can do. And I was also at that, phase in life where I was reassessing my relationships and I was thinking about, oh my God, is this really how I want my life to be? Do I want to continue feeling this dissatisfied? So I started with something I call it the happiness game. I created a little game. I did a lot of studying and research. I've been studying and doing research on personal development and human nature for the past 20 years. So like any good researcher, I went straight to my research lab and started researching what are the main segments of happiness and everything about happiness that I could lay my hands on. And so after all that studying and matching it up to my real life, to my life, not just what other people say,
Yeah.
I decided, okay, there were 5 pillars of my life or 5 different categories of my life that I wanted to touch on, which would make me a happier person, which would help me reach that level of contentment that I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So those, of course, those 5 are mind, body, soul, relationships, and future. So these are the 5 categories that I wanted to focus on. So I made it a game. And every day I do one action to touch on each of these categories. So I've been
Ooh.
doing this for many years. And that was how I started with my own happiness journey because I'm somebody who likes variety. I'm multi passionate. I'm not somebody who wants to do the same thing for the rest of my life, whether it's journaling or yoga or anything else.
Mhm.
I want variety. I like buffets for that reason. I want to try a little bit of everything. So the happiness game was designed to meet all these different criteria. I wanted it to be practical. I wanted it to be quick. I wanted it to be easy to do and implement in my day to day life. Simple.
Yeah.
So with that, because I have categories and I have the way, I have the luxury of being able to try different things on different days. And so that is, I forgot what the question was. So there. I literally forgot what the
No,
question was.
you were taking it in a totally different direction, which I really love, was that you were going in the idea of the 5 categories. So I'm going to pick it up right there. So what I love about everything you just said is, first of all, you gamified having a better life. And like, that's one of the things as adults, we forget how much fun it is to play games.
Oh
And
my God, I spent so many eons playing Pokemon Go and Candy Crush and all that. Why couldn't I play something that made me happy, right?
right. So we love it. We forget that games are fun, first of all, but then the
Yes.
fact that your game is very intentional. And of course, okay, so the checklist lover in me, it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like setting
I'm
up,
a list lover, just
yeah,
like
right.
you.
What did I do for my mind today? What did I do for my body today? So for me today, my body was eating Nutella and Oreos, but that was okay. That's not really for my body, but you know what I mean?
Hey, that's for your heart.
That's for my soul. But
Yes.
the point is like, I love that even so one of the things that I'm actually doing this year, which is similar but different, is I have my best year ever journal. And every single Monday, I go back and I look at the last week and I say, what was the best day last week? What were three things that happened in my personal life? Just things that happened. They don't have to be incredible memories, but what did I do that happened? And then how about my business? And it's forcing me to be intentional about remembering my life so that it stops going by in a flash. And it
Yes.
does, it's helping me feel that contentment and not, that text message I got from my 20-year-old, you know what I mean? And that she said something about she saw irises and thought of me because it's the only freaking plant I can grow because they don't die. Like, like, but
Like
like
everything else.
right. And I wrote it down. So like I love that you've gamified it. I love that you've made it intentional because I'm doing that in a very different but similar way. So that's brilliant. I love that.
Yes.
So let me bring this back to unleashing the power of no. So let's just say we've created this game and we're intentionally acting in these 5 areas of our life. Where did this idea of saying no come in? Like, how do we know when to say no or when to say yes?
Just like you were describing a little while ago, when I started playing the game, like you, I'm a list maker. I love lists. I love being able to check stuff off, and it gives me a great structured way to know that I've covered all the steps. So one of the reasons why I gamified it is A, I'm competitive with myself. When I set myself a goal, I have to achieve it, come hell or high water.
Preach.
So
Yeah,
I'm
girl.
so for me, that those type of games, competition with myself works really well. When I set myself targets, I have this mental thing where I need to accomplish them. So I gamified it for that reason. The second reason why I gamified it is because I love data, and data doesn't lie. Let me put it this way. I can tell myself all the lies I want,
Mhm.
but my data will not lie.
Mhm.
And just like you said, these bullet journals are very popular in the YouTube world, and they have these mood trackers and stuff like that. So I had created a weekly tracker for myself, which I used to do on paper and stuff, and I used to make my little doodles and draw in a heart for all the activities that I had completed in my list. And every week I would sit and look at this list to see which categories I completed and which I didn't. And if I didn't, why not?
Yeah.
Where was my focus? Where was I spending my time and my life? Once I started analyzing those weekly check ins or those daily check ins, every month I wanted to get a perfect score or whatever, So I'm competitive that way. What can I say? so so I would look at my chart to see where was I not scoring, what was my gameplay, what were the activities that I really enjoyed or which I didn't enjoy, because sometimes when I do things that I don't enjoy, it kind of falls into other things, and then it takes away my motivation to do get other things accomplished.
Right.
So though all of those patterns are very important if I want to become intentional about my life. Now, you asked a very important question, which a lot of people ask me, because this is the key for having an intentional life. How do you decide?
Mhm.
Making a choice is the boon of having free will. It is also the bane of having free will,
Mhm.
because when you have all the choices, whatever choice you are making it, you have to take the fallout that may come with it and all of those things. So most of us dread having to make the wrong choice.
Yep. Yep.
And so we don't make a choice at all. We'll just let the universe make the choice for us, or let somebody else make the choice for us, which is a lot the reason why a lot of us prefer to work for somebody else, because the responsibility of making the choices is not on us,
Right.
right? So when I started analyzing my life, there was no escaping it. I had to look at that chart and be like, I didn't do this for myself. Why not?
Mhm.
I was my boss, and I was I was the employee. I was taking myself to task and having that conversation.
Right.
That helped me figure out my needs, wants, and desires. So when I coach people or when I work with them, this is something that we work on, is figuring out your needs, wants, and desires. Once you know what your needs, wants, and desires are, you have a clear line in the sand, because your needs are non-negotiable. Your wants improve your life, but your desires are completely negotiable.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That was good.
And they evolve and change. Your desires evolve and change with time, with life, with age, with experiences, and all of that, right? Now, you can't run your life in a desire focused way. You have to take care of those needs, and you have to, if you want to have the freedom to live a better life or upgrade your life, you have to take care of your wants before you plunge into your desires. So, knowing what falls under each of these categories in your life, as like for me, I realized that as I started playing the game and becoming intentional, and the weekly analysis, you can't learn about yourself in a week, in a day, or in even in a year. I'm still learning about
Yeah.
myself, and it's been years since I've been doing this, right?
Yeah.
And so it becomes clearer and clearer to you what is necessary in your list, because you have a clear list to compare it to. Can I say yes to this? Do I have, it's sort of like money, right? So let's say you get a fixed amount, let's say you get $1,000 every month in salary, because time is fixed. So let's say you have $1,000 in salary, and your needs are that you have to pay rent, you have to pay for electricity, and blah blah blah. Let's say $500 is your needs, and you have certain upgrades in your life, like high speed internet so that your work is smooth, or you get organic food because you care about your health, or whatever else, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain other wants which are also part of your, I would say, disposable income.
Hmm.
So let's say you have $500 left. Out of that $500, your wants are $300. And then you have $200 left for your desires.
Hmm.
You can negotiate with your wants and desires and all of that and tweak your needs, but you can't get away from the needs. You can't spend the entire $1,000 on your desires, right?
What a
So,
great analogy, because it's when you think about it that way in terms of money and buying things, and the people that are always broke and who can't pay their rent and their electricity is always being turned off, a lot of times it's because they're so focused spending money on their wants and desires. And then they
yes,
can't their own.
even the desire to kill your debt, for example. I know people who have, let's say, a massive credit card debt, right? And their entire focus is on the desire to be debt free,
Hmm.
right? That is, I would not personally say that that is a need at this point in their life, simply because they are using that credit to keep everything going.
Yeah.
However, if they are spending all their money on those things instead of balancing it out, the best way to get out of debt that I have found is to stop spending more on credit, and whatever extra income that you have, you start using it towards killing off the debt. This is personally that I found works well. But I've seen people who pay off as much as they can, and then they have, by the end of the month, they have to again charge their card for new
Because they can't
expenses
afford, right?
because their needs have not been met.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that keeps them in the cycle.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh. So, practical example, because that's literally where my husband and I are right now. We're paying off the credit card debt. We want to buy a home. I mean, we're in an RV. I'm ready to get out of the RV. It's been a year and a half. I'm ready for a home, but we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we desire a home with a certain amount of land, with a certain amount of square footage within that home. But right now our needs are back here. Let's take care of our needs. And then,
Yes.
so yeah, no, I absolutely, oh, what a great example. Oh my gosh, that was so good. So we're talking about needs, desire, and wants. Let's just take that one step farther and get a little bit more practical. So in terms of slowing down and
Mhm.
really simplifying our lives, what are the areas that when you coach someone, what are some ways that you help them really distinguish those categories and simplify all the things that are happening in their life?
I have a very easy job, to be honest. I just ask a lot of questions. I'm dealing with adults here. And the truth of the matter is, as a coach, one of the things that I have realized, or as a facilitator, I've been a human resources trainer for over 2 decades now. And this is what I've realized when working with adults. You guys already have all the answers. You're just not willing to admit them.
I feel so called out. Oh my gosh. This is why I hate coaches.
If I ask you what makes you happy, you already know.
Yeah.
And a lot of my time goes in asking, all right, if you did this, and it's all right, that is my role, is to help, because a lot of people are afraid or don't have the time or may not even have thought about asking themselves those questions. There are so many people that, one of the questions that trips them up is, what makes you happy? Can you tell me three things that make you happy? And so many people can't tell me off the top of their head. So then I have to break it down into further questions like, all right, does going out make you happy? Do you have a hobby? Do you, do this or that? And then slowly through that, they start. So a lot of this work that I do is helping people figure out what their wants, needs, and desires are. And those are individual to everybody. What I consider an absolute necessity may not be a necessary for somebody else.
Mhm.
It may just be in their want category or their desire category.
Yeah.
So depending on what their, and each person has to, my job is to help you know you as best as you can. And that is what my programs and my game, everything is geared towards self study.
Mhm.
And my role is to facilitate that self study so that you are not falling down that horrible spiral of everything is my fault, everybody hates me,
Right. Well,
I did everything wrong.
let's actually go down that rabbit hole. We talked about rabbit holes earlier because, we're moms, right? And as moms, self-care often feels selfish,
Yes.
right? And so when it comes to needs, so you're like literally, I'm like, okay, what makes me happy? And of course, Nutella and Oreos.
See,
Like,
how many times in a day do you sit and actually ask yourself that question? When
right,
was the last time you asked yourself that question?
right. Because I feel like I'm obligated to say spending time with my family makes me happy. It's not that it doesn't, but if you were to put me on the spot, I'd be like watching a home improvement show while drinking a cup of coffee in dead silence just by myself would make me very happy today. But that feels so selfish because I'm supposed to want to be doing for others all the time. Even as an Enneagram 8 challenger who says no like, all the time, I still feel like admitting that that would be what makes me happy. Now, maybe tomorrow, that's not what makes me happy. Last night, I couldn't wait to go to my daughter's softball game. Getting outside and watching her play made me so happy. But today, that's not that's going to make me happy. I don't want to go to soccer practice tonight. Like, I want to stay home. It's been a long day.
And that's what it is. The right answer to that question is, most people can't answer that question, is because there are so many different things. And it is right answer is being present in the moment, doing what I feel like doing right now. That's it. That's what's going to make me happy, is being able to do what I want to right in this moment.
So,
Whether that looks like sitting on my couch and watching Netflix, or it looks like sitting in my garden and looking at the clouds float by, or it looks like going to soccer practice with my kid, whatever that looks like,
whatever it looks like.
it changes, right?
But how do we balance that? So I'm going to just push back. How do we balance that with the fact that, if we're going to be responsible adults, we can't always do what we want. Sometimes we have to do what we don't want because that's called being adult, right? That's responsibility. So how do you help your clients balance that when they
Again, I make them quantify that, because just like your things, here is the thing, when we talk about needs, wants, and desires, we aren't just talking about material, tangible things. We are also talking about our time and our energy and our affections.
yeah.
For example, let's talk about in terms of activities, right? As a mom, what falls under my needs category is making sure my kid goes to school at a certain point every day. So that morning hour and that afternoon hour, that is under my needs category, because I don't want to be taking care of him till he's 80. He has to go to school and get a job. So this
So,
is this is a because it directly flows into my desire to be free after I retire, you know.
right.
So, but it is a need. It is under my active daily commitments. There are certain things that fall under needs,
Yeah.
taking care of my family's meals. There are certain jobs that I have, responsibilities. I may hate them, doing the dishes. I may not like it, but these are my needs.
Yeah. Okay.
And I should not confuse them. Self care is also taking care of these needs. A sink full of dirty dishes is not me taking care of myself.
Right.
Because I mean, for me personally, that's having a clean house, having a clean environment, having healthy meals, these things look like self-care to me,
Hmm.
not just sitting in my bathtub.
Right. So it's
All of that, yeah,
yeah,
having a clutter free environment, that is so
totally.
important for me as a human being, because when I have a clutter free space, my mind feels decluttered.
Yep.
I get so much more done. If I have clutter in the house, my brain is constantly worried about, oh my God, that looks ugly. It's an eyesore that is constantly pricking my brain and occupying space,
Yes.
take from my happiness.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So these are things that having a clean house, or these are certain things which I consider. Well, I wouldn't consider having a clean house is not part of my needs, but it is part of my wants. I can't have, I have a family as a mom. It's impossible to have a clutter free home,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that's my, something I aim to try, and so I have to dedicate a certain amount of my time and energy towards that, because
Amen.
it's easy to let it go and be like, you know what, this is too much to do.
Yeah.
But knowing that it is important to my well-being and towards the happiness of the family, I
Mhm.
have put it in my needs category, and so I don't feel any resentment or bitterness when I go and wash the dishes. It is an act of self-care.
Right. Okay, so I just love that you just said that because and I'll go back to what you said about, you don't want to be raising your son when he's still 80. Like totally, like that idea that training my kids on how to do chores, which takes longer than just doing the chore myself, right? But I am teaching them it my desire is to someday have them have their own families and do all those things. And so my needs now are going to produce my desires later rather than,
Yes.
oh, like that's just I love the way that you presented that. That's absolutely brilliant. So I want to actually jump. It's not jumping, it's sort of redirecting. So when you and I very first met, you were doing Saturday socials
I'm still doing
around
them.
this topic.
Yes.
Talk to me about those because I never had the opportunity to attend one because Saturday mornings, I've got all these kids. We're always doing things. What the heck is a Saturday social and what are you doing in them that has to do with all this?
Okay, so first of all, I've been an entrepreneur or in this entrepreneur space for the past couple of years, and one of the things that I find is a very important and healthy countermeasure for burnout, both for professionals and for entrepreneurs, especially for entrepreneurs, I would say, because we work from sun up to sundown, and from the time my eyes open till the time my eyes close, and we're always constantly thinking about work, talking about work, doing work. I was building, or I'm at the beginning stages of building my business, so the past 2 years, as you can imagine, went by in a flash, from doing everything under the sun, and I'm still doing all of that. So like with everything else, I want to be intentional about my downtime. And because I've been with all of you guys and I hang out with you guys so much, I also know that so do you. And so does most adults don't have, especially after the lockdown and everything, we don't really have dedicated downtime where we are socializing with other people. So when we were younger, my mom and her friends used to have things like kitty parties where the ladies would get together, on a certain morning and have lunch together, play some games, chit chat, just hang out, socialize, get to know each other, have a friend beyond the work stuff. So the Saturday socials are sort of themed around mindfulness activities, and twice a month we get together to conduct or to participate in a mindfulness activity. Like last time we had done Ho'oponopono journaling, and before that we had done meditation. Whoever is free, they join us on Saturday mornings, and we do an activity to relax and unwind together, and then we chit chat and get to know each other, and beyond shop talk and beyond business,
Mhm.
on a personal level, what are we going through? Sometimes people share their personal struggles or what they are going through, or they ask for support in terms of, it's just we love bomb on each other a little bit and make it feel good. And this Saturday we have petty paint and sip, so we'll be getting together to rub and buff our nails and just chit chat and hang out.
I love that. Oh my, because it's the thing in this day and age, ironically, as much social media as we have, people go on and on about how lonely they feel because
Yes,
they're
it's
not
it's the
making
loneliness.
real connections. And so this is an opportunity to take a connection you might have made with someone on a business level and be like, okay, but you're a human being,
Yeah.
other part of your life. Like, let's talk about what's going on other than that. Oh, so fantastic.
This is an extension of what I learned when I was working in corporate. Here, this is what I observed. most teams do not integrate on the shop floor. They integrate after hours. They integrate in those in between times when you're standing around the, coffee dispenser, or when you are eating lunch together, or when you go on Friday night after that really tough client call. That is where teams bond. That is where that strong bond is created between members of a group,
Mhm.
because there they are not performing, there's nothing expected out of them, they're just being themselves.
Yeah.
And so even in this environment, in the entrepreneur space and all of that, that is important to have. We are all working individually as solopreneurs with small groups. We don't have those setups or those relationships, and they're just as important. I mean, for me at least, they are very important. So, and
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to hang out with other people who have similar, interests and
To not feel like you're performing. I mean, I think that to a certain extent, when it's all business all the time, you always have to come across as the expert, and you have to be
I'm selling something, I'm selling
right.
myself, my
Yeah,
service. When do I let my hair down and just be and
exactly.
let people see my fun side and, talk crap and
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all, this is why I had to be in Artie's world. If you're not understanding, this is why. This is why. Oh my goodness, so fantastic. Okay, so gosh, this 30 minutes just goes so fast. So before we finish up, what is one thing that you might want to just leave the listeners with, like if they didn't get anything else out of this episode, which I have a hard time believing they didn't get anything, but if they didn't get anything else, you want them to walk away with this one concept that they can actually implement in their lives to be happier today, tomorrow, this week, this month, all the things. What would that be?
I would say start tracking your time. Just like you may have, there are journals for food where you can track everything you eat in a day, or for your weight loss, or for similarly, or for your money, you have a tracker where you see where your money is going. Do the same thing for your time. As soon as you start doing that, even if you do it for a week, you'll be in for a huge surprise as to where all your time is actually going, and then you can reassess and see. That is the first thing, when I talk about saying no, or empowering you with your no, or unleashing your no, you got to know where your time is going. As soon as you know, then you can, where the holes are, then you can plug them.
That's fantastic. I love that idea because I track it for my business, but I don't track it personally. So,
Yeah.
what a great idea. I love it. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. Y'all, the links to be part of Artie's workshops will be in the show notes. You can also, well, where can they find you? You should tell them. Where can they?
On my website, teawitharti.com, which will be, as Alison said, it'll be in the links. And you can, on my website, there'll be a link to the app, as well as any upcoming workshops, events. The Saturday socials are all published on the app, along with all my workshops and upcoming events. Or you can join my newsletter, where I send out an email before all upcoming events. So if you want to participate, that would be join the newsletter, or sign up for the app, download the app from my website.
Fantastic. All right, guys, go out there today and make a plan, take action.